we good? Karen, you're up.
Yep.
Okay. I'm getting ready to start the meeting, but I wanted everyone to unmute so that, well, you guys can all hear me. That's right.
Yeah, we can hear you,
So
Ed.
we are live to Facebook.
Okay, good.
Basically, there's no interaction. There's nothing there, but the video is being streamed.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll get the meeting started and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag's behind me. If you want to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, very good. Thank you. Before we get into the abstract, I just have two comments or two individuals who I'd like to acknowledge, unfortunately, of recent passing. First, we have George Ratterman, who's Matt Ratterman's dad, who works at the Highway Department, who passed away on March 24th. And also John Deere's mother-in-law, Prainer's mother, who passed away on March 24th, Renu Thakur. Did I get that right again, John? Okay, very good. So what I'd like to do is just a moment of silence before we get started on to the next part of the meeting.
Ed, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. I am item 2, abstract number 7. We need a motion for that.
This is Sarah. I make a motion to approve abstract number 7.
And I'll second it. Karen?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? That's a delay, Heather.
Unmute myself there.
Right. Next is the Board of Assessment Review Appointments. I believe, Heather, will you be presenting that?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Mr. Supervisor and members of the board, our professional team. I'm reporting on behalf of the interview committee, which included myself and Councilor Bollinger and Town Manager Ann Oot. We also passed this information on to our assessor, Pat Duffy. So according to our town code, the Board of Assessment Review shall consist of not less than 3, no more than 5 members appointed by the legislative body. And the members shall have knowledge of property values in the town. The terms for their service shall be 5 years, beginning in October and terminating in September of a given year, but no more than one shall expire at the same time. So we have people rolling on and off. Jim Campbell's term came due on September 30th, 2019, and Ann Kelly resigned on March 6th, 2020. So the town placed a notice seeking applicants with a deadline of March 25th, 2020. We received 6 applications and resumes are available for review. And before our interviews on April 2nd and April 3rd, sorry, I lost my note here. One applicant declined to move forward. And we coordinated availability using a doodle poll, which I recommend. That was a great way to sort of send an email out with slots that were available and people filled in where they could meet. So it made it easier to sort of just grid versus doing lots of back and forth emails. A doodle poll, it's a free service. And then we provided a Zoom link for the 45-minute interview slots. We confirmed participation by calling the applicants. I also wanted to make sure people knew how to click onto Zoom and felt comfortable with that. And this interview method was newer for our team. The committee opened the interviews with an overview of the board and our current membership needs. Arnold Poltinson is currently in his term as the only confirmed member that's serving right now. And one person will take the term that runs through September 30th of 2024, and the other will serve the remainder of Anne's term, which is September 30th, 2022. And we asked the applicants why they were interested in the role and about their understanding of residential and commercial property in the town, their relevant and transferable experience, their conflict and communication style, and any known potential or potentially perceived conflict of interest. All the applicants were keenly interested in continuing, renewing, or beginning a term of public service with the town, which is fantastic. And they had relevant or transferable experience that would qualify them as a Board of Assessment Review member. But we believe that two finalists, Fred Lutzen for the term that ends in 2024, and Celeste Greiner with the term ending in 2022, will offer fresh perspective to the Board of Assessment Review, along with their respective arbitration and residential real estate expertise. Together with Arnold, we're confident that they will succeed in their training, which will be required before the end of this month, and quickly gain the knowledge that they need to serve this spring and beyond. This year, it's uncertain exactly how the grievance day process will proceed. We know how it usually proceeds, but it might be adjusted given the circumstances in the world, in our state. But the training can probably proceed through webinar and remote format without any problems. And the group will choose a chair. And so we assume that they will choose Arnold as he would, he's had some experience, but we're confident that with the sort of intelligence and interest and drive of these applicants, they can quickly come up to speed and again, bring that fresh perspective. But I'd love to answer any questions about the process for these finalists. And thank you for letting me put it forth. And thank you so much to Sarah and for all they did to make the process so smooth, and to Kay for her help as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah, anyone have any comments or questions for Heather or Ann or Sarah? Maybe you have any comments as well, since you were part of the committee.
But then I would second Heather's motion to approve these two candidates.
Okay,
And put it to the board.
all right. We have to do them individually, though.
Okay.
So I would start with probably the one that's due the 20th, Ann's first, I think, who's 2022.
Yeah, for the term ending in 2022,
Yep.
I make a motion to approve Celeste Greiner for that role.
And I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Carried. All right, and for the 2024 term?
And Mr. Supervisor, may I make a motion to approve Fred Lutzen for the membership for the term ending in 2024?
And I will second that also.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, very good. All right, thank you, Ann, Sarah, and Heather. Great job, good team. Some excellent candidates that came through. I saw every one of their resumes. Very professional, not an easy choice, I know, but
No, they were wonderful. They were all wonderful.
yeah, so, but then again, there's always room for two more at some point in time. We can always maybe consider that down the road. So,
Well, I think you make a good point. We talked about that and we'd want a budget for something like that, but it's certainly worth discussing as we go through our budget conversations to think about expanding the board and getting some more thought from the from that department and from the board, the Board of Assessment Review.
excellent.
Ed, could I make a quick suggestion that we all just quickly introduce ourselves for people that are watching the live stream, just because I don't know that everyone will necessarily recognize us. And they might not know all of our roles, just so that people might recognize and know who each of us are individually and why we're all on the live stream.
Our names, do they see our names like we see our names on the screen?
They do,
Yeah.
but I think the boxes Brady Bunch style might be in different order. So we should probably, if we do introduce, we should probably do so alphabetically.
And then if we say our name and our role, then I think that might help people to understand why we're all like who's voting. It might just be like a quick civics lesson for everyone, anyone watching. They just
Sure.
see a jumble of faces and they might not understand who all of us are and what our roles are. So just because we're not in the same order we would be in a typical board meeting, it's harder to decipher
true.
who's who.
Yeah, well, it's like the box there, the Hollywood squares here, that's what it is. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and do that by board member? I think, Sarah, would you start it out, I think? Oh, unmute, Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Ballinger, counselor.
There you go. John, are you next?
John Deere, Town Councilor.
Elaine?
Elaine Denton, Town Councilor.
Yeah, let's see, I think.
Karen?
Karen would be next.
Yeah, Karen Green, Deputy Supervisor.
I'm Caitlin Creasel, Town Councilor.
Oh, I guess I would go. Ed Theobald, Town of Manlius Supervisor.
Heather Waters, Town of Manlius Counselor.
And we have our town manager here, Ann Oot. Want to raise your hand or acknowledge yourself, Ann? Okay. Town attorney, Tim Frateski. We have, let's see, Doug Miller, town engineer. And Allison Weber, town clerk, right there. And Chief Crowell, down below there. And our highway superintendent, Rob Cushing. Okay, I think we got everybody. How was that, Caitlin? We do all right?
I think that'll be helpful for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 4, which is the PERMA contract workers' compensation renewal that you all received from Ann. Ann, did you want to give a quick overview? I know it's a 7% decrease in the rate.
Sure. As you all know, our workers' compensation plan renews on June 1st of each year. PERMA contacted their members a week or so ago and have offered an automatic renewal for the expiring contribution with a 7% decrease. So our expiring contribution is $209,116. With that decrease, the renewal would go down about $14,600. And PERMA is doing this to try to ease some of the burdens we have right now upon us with, the current situation with the COVID-19. They thought it might be a little bit easier and for business continuity to sort of get some of these things done ahead of time so we could be set when the year comes in case we have any situations that we need to look to our workers' comp carrier. So it would be my recommendation to the board to consider the automatic renewal. Again, it would be just for this year. It would be our intention, next year to go out to bid like we normally would. But I think, again, for continuity, I think it would make sense. And PERMA has provided terrific service for the town of Manlius. So I think for one more year, it would be advantageous.
And Ann, are we okay? It says that it had to be determined by April 3rd. Are we still okay with that?
I did contact PERMA last week and they agreed to extend it for us until tomorrow.
Great.
So,
Perfect. Thank you.
It's always nice when something decreases. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
not always the case, especially with workers' compensation. And
Yeah.
I know, and you've had to do battle at times to make sure that they compete. And of course, that's Heller Francoon, who's the insurance broker on this. They're the ones that go out and do the competitive bids on our behalf. So, so I would, unless anyone has any other conversation, I would ask for a motion.
Well, this is Karen. I'll be happy to make a motion for the automatic renewal for PERMA. And that would include the 7% decrease
Okay. We have a second?
John will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. All right, next item on the list is number 5, which is the copier release renewal for the police department, the Toshiba copier lease. Again, you received information from Ann.
Mhm.
Another reduction. Ann, you want to give another overview on this now? Just give us an idea
Sure.
how long
Yeah.
the contract is.
It's a 39-month contract lease for 2 copiers for the police department. The current lease expires at the end of April. Now, again, we were looking to look for some additional quotes for this. However, due to the current situation that sort of stalled in the middle, we were no longer able to meet with the other vendors. And also, in particular for the business operations for the police department, it's critical that they have the services that they need to perform their duties without any interruption of service. So it would be a reduction in the current lease. So the expiring lease is $377.62 per month, and it would go down to $354.98. Now, these leases do include all the toner, whether that's black toner, color toner. One of the copiers is color capable, and all the maintenance as well. The only additional cost would be for color copies. Now, I do know the police department, in particular Captain Schaefer, they monitor those color copies very closely.
Mhm.
They do have times where they do provide copies for, public or the annual report, such things like that. But on a day-to-day basis, they do mind those numbers. So they're just not, copying any type of documents in color. So it would be, again, a recommendation to renew that lease. Again, due to the current situation, we would like the police department to be able to keep moving forward without any interruption.
Okay, any other questions, comments regarding the agreement, the lease agreement for the copier and the bid?
No, I think it's great.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion for renewing that 39-month lease.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to renew the 39-month lease with Toshiba with the 2 copiers located at the Town of Manlius Police Department. Again, with a reduction in the fee.
I'd second.
Okay, Elaine. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Excellent. All right, item 6, we have the, Rob, you have a report you sent out to us, or Janet got to us and just today, and it's regarding the surplus material. If you want to give us a review, I think everyone has the form that was.
That's actually the paint, Ed. I didn't
Oh, that's
actually.
the paint.
Yeah, that's for the paint.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead then.
That's okay. I
Yeah,
just
go ahead. Oh, this is the millings. Okay, you're right. My bad. Yeah.
I had a conversation with Tim a week or so ago. And just for the board's information, in the past, what we've been able to do is with our road millings, in other words, in our process of grinding the roads, to get rid of that material, we've been able to work with Barrett Paving Company, who's actually, there's never been any money transaction. They've been able to basically credit us in blacktop for the amounts that we've brought in at a certain level. And it's changed over the years. It's gone anywhere from $7 to $3 a ton coming in. And actually it's gone less than that in some years. But they've gotten quite a glut of material. I mean, they've got a huge mountain on site. So this year they've sent me out a notice, and actually all the townships, they sent out a notice that they will not be paying for the road grindings this year. So again, after my conversation with Tim, I said, well, what are my options here? So I know there's a lot of municipalities that go out and they go on Auctions International and auction their pile off. In other words, they would stockpile it behind their facility and then try and auction it off at the end of the year. So I'm looking at that option. I'm also in conversation with Kinsella Quarry, which is in our backyard, to see if they'd be interested in paying us, a certain fee for per ton. That way it's on our trucks. You don't have to handle it twice. We don't have to worry about going out to bid. And also I've got another company that might be interested in possibly purchasing it at a certain tonnage price. But again, we would have to stockpile it. So I'll get back with the board on that. But I think, Tim, what I'm really mainly looking for from the board is to declare the actual material as surplus material. The road grinding would be considered surplus material, so we can sell that.
How much are we looking at, Rob, you think on any idea?
We average anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000 ton a year. If we got $1 a ton, you're looking at $10,000 a year. Again, it's for old road grindings.
Right.
The problem is if to stockpile them, usually you stockpile those longer than a year, they turn into concrete. It's really difficult to get them out of there. You know what I mean? We do some for our shoulders, so we do stockpile some. But I think it would be best that if we can not handle it a bunch of times, and try and get something worked out we can sell is probably would be our best bet. But if not, I think obviously the options of going with another company that might be interested in possibly purchasing it at a certain rate. And again, I'll look at those rates and I'll try and talk to those guys. Or as of right now, I know Barrett Paving is not interested in purchasing the stuff from us. So chances are, if they're not, there's not a lot of companies that are going to be interested in doing it. So I guess I'm really need mainly to have the board declare it as a surplus material so we can go out and look to have someone purchase it from us.
So you need a motion in reference to that.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, all right. So
Mr. Supervisor, I would be happy to make a motion to declare the millings as surplus. Approximately 8,000 to 10,000 ton over the course of the summer.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Very good. Thank you, Rob. Sorry, I got those two mixed up. I was jumping ahead there. Correspondence, and well, now we'll get right into it. The next one is probably regarding the paint now, right?
It is. Yeah. I'm sorry for the late notice on this, but obviously it's been a crazy week here. So I hope everyone got a copy. This is, by the way, is on state contract through the OGS state contract. We typically have bought in our paint off the state contract over the last 10 years or so. So this is not only our white and yellow paint, but it's also the glass spheres that we use to, it actually enhances the brightness of it at night. So they're actually glass beads, and they come in totes. So at this point, we're looking to purchase 24 55-gallon drums of white and 22 55-gallon drums of yellow. The white per gallon is $9 a ton, and $9 a gallon, and the yellow would be at $11.47 a gallon with a total price of the $25,758.70. And that's for the paint. And I don't know if we need to do a separate motion on this, but also on the same contract, those glass spheres, we'd be getting 2,000 pounds of it at 29 cents a pound. It's $5,800 with a combination of the 31,558.70. So I guess both of them combined on the same contract would be for that $31,558.70.
Tim, can we combine these all in this motion? Oh, you got on mute. Tim, you got on
Is
mute.
it one motion, Tim?
Let's break them up, okay?
Oh, all right, okay. All right, so we'll need a motion on each quantity, the 24, the 22, and the 10. Okay, all right.
So I would be happy to make a motion to approve the 24
Well, amount.
gallons of white paint.
Yeah, 24 gallons.
Allison, you can fill that in.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Carried. And the yellow paint for 22
Okay, so
gallons?
I would be happy to make a motion to approve the yellow paint.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the last one here, the pocket.
And I would like to make a motion to approve the glass beads, which improve visibility at night.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Excellent. Is that it, Rob? Anything else you have?
Nope, that's it. And hopefully you guys go away this weekend. That would be really nice.
If we what?
You keep the snow away.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
trying, Rob. We're trying.
maybe Friday, they said. I don't know. So,
Mm.
all right. I know Randy's not here. I don't know if Doug, if you had anything that he was working on that you need to report on.
I just had a couple quick things to get everybody up to speed. We recently completed the annual landfill reporting criteria for submission to New York State DEC.
Right.
No significant changes on the landfill. The recommendation I went over with Ann is to keep the budget the same for activities on the landfill. The report indicates about $22,000 for that. A lot of the work that's done on the landfill is done with in-kind resources through Rob's group at the Highway Department. So I will be coordinating with Rob. Rob, I haven't gone over it with you, but there's a couple minor things. Couple trees fell down over the winter. There's that one little ponding area on the south side of the landfill. And then we just got to go back in and look at a couple spots where there's some ATVs that have been coming in from time to time. Nothing major, but we'll just get that on our list for our activities when we're doing mowing this year. The other thing that we will be working on is the annual MS4 reporting. A lot of that is compiled for us by Central New York Regional Planning, and Kathy Bertucci has reached out to DEC to see if we could extend the reporting period from June 1st to August 15th. They responded back very politely that, they'd like to have everybody complete their reporting by the June 1st date. But in fact, if anybody needed more time, they said, just be reserved about it and, go ahead and, they would give an extension. But we're contingent upon what we get back from Kathy. But Rob, in the next couple weeks, Deb and I will be working on that, and we'll go over some of the activities that you did down at the highway that you track on an annual basis. So I think we can probably meet the June 1st deadline without a lot of without a lot of heartache.
Yeah, I would.
That's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, Doug. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Tim, do you
Thanks,
have
Doug.
anything? Oh, I'm sorry. Tim, did you have anything for us tonight?
I have two things. The first is this discussion we initially started in the beginning of the meeting, and that's the 3 public hearings that are scheduled for the 22nd, which would be the next meeting. I don't know how the board wants to handle it. I can tell you that some boards are holding public hearings through virtual technology like we're using here. The difficulty is there would have to be, not the difficulty, but the key is there would have to be a way for the public to interact with us and provide their input as it relates to those 3 items. 2 of those items are relatively innocuous. There's the stop signs, and then there's the changes to the solar law, which I don't think there's going to be a lot of public comment on those. And the third is that solar is the community solar farm. So the question is, do you want to go forward with the public hearings, and can we develop the technology between now and then to accommodate the public who might want to provide input for that? Or do we want to cancel the public hearings and reschedule them for some time in May?
So this is Sarah. I would like to experiment with trying to do a virtual public hearing. But I think that we need to have an option of a telephone, because I think it's fair to say the telephone is relatively universally available to people, whereas a video laptop may not be. So I would like to be able to set up something where there'd be that part of the public hearing would be there'd be a way for people to dial into a number and be able to communicate with the board without requiring that they have access to a computer and a camera and internet and all that stuff.
Well, Zoom allows you to simply call in. So we have 2 attendees right now that aren't watching the live stream, that are watching us through the Zoom call function or watching us through the Zoom feature. So someone could call and hear all of us talking and could respond that way. So it doesn't need to be a video conference.
Yeah. And we
We're
would,
saying it doesn't have to be a separate phone number. They could call the same phone number as anybody else.
and
Right.
we would do the public hearing the same manner as if they were in front of us, 3 to 5 minutes, someone introduce themselves, let that person talk, and then the next person. So we could probably control it, I would hope.
Well, Mr.
little-
Supervisor, if there's not an absolute rush on these issues, I think it's always better to get people face to face. And if we could reschedule them to May, I'm very hopeful that this situation will be diminished and that we will all be able to meet. And then I think it just gives everyone in the community an opportunity to attend.
Well, they're saying, give it another 2 weeks. We keep hearing that.
As long as it's not urgent, it's not an absolute urgent issue.
Or the end of April.
I think that it's difficult because we have lost a lot of momentum on a lot of different things we were working on. And it's certainly, I prefer to be able to meet with all of you in person. Like, it's a lot more difficult even to just have this board meeting remotely. But I don't necessarily agree, Karen, that I think it's preferable, one, to wait, because I think that there's certainly a level of urgency to the public hearings I was trying to schedule. I don't think that those were, just non-issues. I think that they were things I was interested in moving forward as quickly as possible. And if we're able to schedule those public hearings and have them soon, I'd rather do it that way. And we don't know how long it will be until, like Ed said, it could be 2 more weeks, and then it's 2 more weeks, and it's 2 more weeks. We don't know when this is going to end. We can't leave all town business on hold until we can all meet in person. We don't know how long it's going to be until it's really safe for us to all be in a room together and to have the public safely in a room with us. And then secondly, we have more people watching our live stream on Facebook now than have ever come to a board meeting. So I think that we have the opportunity to have more participation from the public if we do it through a Zoom platform than we might have if we were holding it in person.
I'm wondering too, Caitlin, can we prioritize these possibly and not have them all at once?
Can I just offer some input for a second?
Sure, Allison.
On the townwide matters, I feel like it might be a struggle to make sure that everyone is heard. I respect and appreciate the fact that we need to kind of keep things moving. We did have a lot of stuff that we were working on. In terms of things that are happening to specific properties, we could run the 500 or 1,000 foot notification, and I could mail everyone a letter. We'd have to push everything out to give it some time, but I could mail everyone a letter that said, hey, this is how we're doing it. Please, here's how you can access the public hearing. Here's how you can comment. And if you have a problem, accessing any of these ways to communicate with us, please call town hall. We'll be here from this time to this time. I feel very comfortable doing that for the issues that are not townwide and are more like project and location specific. I worry a little bit about doing the townwide ones just to make sure that everyone is heard, because I'm not certain that everyone has access to ways to communicate with us or to kind of get that information.
So
Okay,
would
Allison.
you'd be referencing the solar farm, Allison, because that's a project.
We have a few applications that were even submitted just as everything was happening. So we do have location specific projects. If we wanted to do something that was more townwide, we could certainly publish that in the paper. We could put it on our website. We could do it through Facebook. And those are all ways that we already connected with people.
I would just want to make sure that we weren't necessarily trying to do this for the next meeting to give us some time to kind of put that out there. Maybe we're gonna push it out and give, give me some time to work on that and get that information to everybody.
Yeah, I don't think we need to rush it. I don't think it's something we need to get quickly together before our next board meeting, certainly. I don't think that this is gonna be, we just don't know. We don't know if it's gonna be resolved by May. So I think saying, well, let's wait till we can all do it in person again. That's a slippery slope because we just don't know when that's gonna be. So I think we can continue working on it. I mean, we got this up and running. Kudos to everyone that was able to figure this out today, and we're streaming it on Facebook. I think this is fantastic. And
So
Yeah, John, go ahead.
if I can make a suggestion, I think it sounds like we're open, and Tim, it sounds like we're not really walking into any legal issues by doing this if we're making every effort. Is that correct?
Yeah, there is a debate that's happening now in the legal community. The State Bar Association has provided some guidance on this, but they're the Bar Association. And they have indicated that you could do live streaming public hearings as long as the public has a right to participate, to provide comments. And I tend to agree with that as long as we do everything we can to get as much public input as possible, then I think we should be fine.
This is something we can work on then, Tom, between now and the board meeting, I think.
Yeah,
I have
it
a
sounds like
suggestion. I wonder if we could, and I would propose the solar farm, but you might prefer the stop signs. Is
Oh, yeah.
to try just one
Mhm.
for the 22nd.
yeah, I agree with that. I think we can just do one.
Yeah.
Test
Send
run.
postcards and let people know this is, and just try it and see what happens. And then if it goes really badly, we can just continue the hearing, leave it open, and then we can follow through later.
Rob, did you have something?
No, just with the stop signs, obviously, no huge hurry on that.
Okay.
Well,
But they are
and I just,
locations.
I just want to offer a disclaimer that has been my experience with this situation is that we can make these plans, but then suddenly one of us is unavailable, and unable to come into work for a period of time. So in terms of notification, that could be an issue. So.
Exactly. I honestly don't see waiting until May. It's not that far away, but far enough. As long as there isn't anything so pressing. And then I wonder about what the thoughts are of the presenters, what their preference would be. How they want to
So-
communicate with everyone.
They want to do it. They've been
Yeah.
in touch with town hall.
Yeah.
They are actively pursuing us, trying to see when they're able to do this. And so I've actually been communicating with them a lot about this.
This
So
way,
I think-
we communicate this way, Allison, over the Zoom. Is that what you mean, or just?
Yes, they would like to have the ability to present via
Okay.
Zoom
Okay.
and then, or whatever platform, we use long-term and move forward.
Okay.
So
John?
if we do have a particular presenter that's like excited and wants to get moving, I think it makes sense to, if they are willing to be the guinea pigs, we can work out all of the issues with this platform and they've chosen to do this as part of their public hearing. We just have to make every effort to make sure people are included. And so from a technology standpoint, I would really like to have one scheduled so that
Yeah.
we can start testing everything out and seeing everything, because if it works really well, at least that way into May, if we're still unable to do a proper meeting, we have a solution. And worst case scenario, it works terribly, then we can really start having a serious conversation about can we do a public hearing in a field with social distancing, everyone keeping 6 feet apart? Because that's the next option. And
We
the weather's
could
getting
make-
nicer, so we might be able to do it.
We could take baby steps on this, where we could, maybe the stop signs, I know Robbie said that's not urgent, but that could be relatively an easy one, I would think. So
Yeah,
that'd
I
be
agree
good.
with that suggestion Sarah had, absolutely, and that you're bringing up again, Ed, I think that'd be a fantastic idea because it's lower stakes. We can always
Yeah, right. Yeah.
introduce it if for some reason it goes completely haywire.
Yeah, that'd be a good, like you said, guinea pig, I think. Yeah.
And maybe even get someone who is, because it sounds like these stop signs are very much something that people want to see. Maybe we ask one or two people who are pro stop sign to just come to our public hearing and test out the technology with us, even if it's just as simple as yes or no, I support this, or just to see if the technology is working.
Okay, John or Rob, did you have something?
No, it's localized, Ed. So, you got a small area there that you work with, one little subdivision. So I think it'd be a great place to start, what I mean, to get the technology working.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't we
Allison,
pursue that, and then we can discuss the other two public hearings while we're preparing for the one next meeting. How would that be?
So the strategy would be to try to keep the stop signs on the 22nd and move the other two to the week after?
Well, we'd have to, of course, wait until, or would we make the motion now to adjourn?
We could make a
for the
motion
next-
now to move it, and then we can notify the people involved so that they would know that their date has changed.
Just before we move
Okay.
forward, did you have something, Tim, you needed me to do on this?
yeah, and I just wanted to make sure you'd have enough time. Were we planning, we don't usually send out notices to people as it relates to stop signs,
Oh,
but
okay.
maybe in this case, it might be a good idea because it might generate the kind of public participation.
One advantage of this group
would you
is
have
that
enough
there
time?
is a homeowners association, so we could communicate with a letter to the homeowners association and the word would get to everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
I will work on that. I understand my
know,
directive from the town board to be that you want me to communicate to that neighborhood, so I can kind of work on that in the office tomorrow.
And I think you have the email of everybody in that neighborhood already.
I do, yes, I do.
That's true.
So I think this will be a very easy one to make sure that they get the word.
Yeah.
True.
All right. So Sarah, did you want to make a motion to move?
Okay, so I would
two
like to
other
make a
ones,
motion
let's
to
see.
move the public hearing for the solar array
Mhm.
on, is it Taft Road?
Yes.
To
Yep.
Mhm.
You want to
May-
move that to the May 13th? Is that one be the next one?
Yes.
It would be.
So the May 13th meeting, and ask that we inform the candidate that that's what we're going to try to do so that they know that.
Okay.
And then I can send a notice.
All right, so I need a second on that.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed and carried. Very good. And Sarah, now, or anyone want to make the motion for the next one on the, Caitlin, that's yours, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, what's the language I need to use again?
That we're going to move the public hearing from the 22nd to the 13th, the 22nd of April to the 13th of May.
All right, so I will make a motion to move the public hearing that's currently scheduled for April 22nd and move that to May the 13th. And that was the public hearing to amend the solar code and the town code.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll second.
that.
all right.
Thank
All
you,
in favor?
Darlene.
All in
Aye.
favor? Okay,
Aye.
opposed, carried. Excellent. All right, very good. Good discussion. I'm glad we got through that one because we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, Tim, you had another thing you said, right?
The other thing I have is our resolution from March 17th or 18th
Yeah.
that allowed us to pay our employees through April 30th.
Mhm.
Will be coming up on April 30th, and I just want the board to think between now and the next meeting how we want to handle that at the 22nd meeting as it relates to payment of employees who are working from home or are coming into the office. We have much more skeletal crew now at the office than we did before.
This is Sarah. I'd like to ask I guess this would be you, Ann, but I don't want to assume that, for some kind of ruling on how the CARES Act would supersede or reverse or amend whatever it is that we might be doing with regard to employee benefits during this time.
Okay, I will look into that. I do have some different materials I've been reading through to see. Supervisor, I do have one other item. It relates to our deferred compensation plan. I just wanted to know when you get to that.
Okay, all right. And Tim and I emailed, I'm going to reach out to the Association of Towns on that too. I think they're probably going to say it's up to each different municipality how we handle that, although it could be under the CARES Act too. So, I'm looking into that as well. All right, Tim, that was it then for now?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. All right, and Allison, what do you have for us?
I don't have anything.
Okay, very good. Chief, are you here? Where's the chief?
I am here. I just unmuted myself. Good evening. I
Oh, there
just
you
had
go.
a
Sorry.
few things. I'm happy to report that all of our people are doing well. We had a few close calls there, but at this point, we don't have anybody that's out or has been affected. Continue my weekly meetings with all the police chiefs and leaders in law enforcement for Onondaga County on a weekly basis. We continue to talk about what we're doing collectively and how we can share resources, which is really, really great. Also continue that great relationship with Onondaga County Health, as well as the Onondaga County Emergency Management. We talk and communicate frequently just to make sure that we have enough supplies and what we need to get through these times. Call volume, our overall call volume is down. There's been a couple agencies locally that have reported an uptick in domestic violence because of the stay-at-home orders. I can happily say that we haven't seen that in the town of Manlius, which is good. But we are getting about 3 to 4 complaints a day on social distancing and other issues like that. And we deal with those independently or individually. Our supply on personal protective gear is good. I'm really excited the fact that during H1N1, we actually ordered a whole bunch of supplies that were still left over, which are helping a great deal right now for our members. So that's good. I mentioned last meeting, the county, through a governor's order, decided to go with virtual arraignments. And they pushed that forward, and we started that last Monday. And we have not had a virtual arraignment yet, but we're all set up for it. And that, of course, helps out the judges and the defense attorneys and the DA's office. But our members, unfortunately, are still stuck with dealing with these people. But that's part of the job. As related to calls for service, we had one drug arrest. We have a drug house in the town, and we were focusing our attention on that. And so that did cause us to do some enforcement action on that one particular house, but it kind of opens up another question about nuisance abatement. And I know Tim and I have had discussions about nuisance abatement local laws, but it's probably a discussion to be had at a different time. We continue to caution our folks or our community on scams associated with COVID. There's a lot of really bad people out there doing bad things, trying to take advantage of this system. So I would encourage everybody to call 911 or the TMPD when they see a scam like that. And I know that the Attorney General's office, as well as federal prosecutors, are getting real aggressive on prosecuting those people appropriately. They're trying to take advantage of this situation. That includes scams to include impersonations. We haven't seen any of that locally, but there's been some police impersonator activity out there, which is sort of related to that. And then lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge all the men and women of the TMPD for coming to work every single day and going out there and doing their duty. They've done an outstanding job. Very few complaints from our people. So I'm real fortunate in that. Happy to report it. That's all I have.
That's good news, Mike. Yeah, they've been 24/7 saw Dan Philippe did a little bit on on Facebook reading a kid's book, for it was pretty entertaining, actually. I listened to the whole thing, so but yeah, they've been doing a great job. And Chief, again, as I mentioned the other night, just make sure they let us know how much we appreciate the work they're putting in, especially these trying times right now. Okay, thank you. All right, Ann, you said you have, well, I know you have the information on the Lincoln that you sent out to us before the meeting, and you had something on pension?
No, that was a link, and it was sort of a follow-up to the CARES Act that Councilor Bollinger mentioned. But yes, I did email the board members earlier this evening. As you know, the town's deferred compensation plan is managed by Lincoln Financial under the CARES Act. There's the $2 million economic stimulus package signed into law last week, as we all know, provides some temporary distribution relief for retirement plan participants. So Lincoln Financial is ready to help the town of Manlius opt in, should we choose to implement those provisions of the CARE Act as it relates to deferred compensation. Now, as a reminder, the deferred compensation plan is a voluntary plan for the employees. The town does not contribute to this in any way. But some highlights of the CARES Act, or as it relates to the retirement plans, increases the maximum loan amount to 100% of an affected participant, their vested account balance. They can suspend their loan payments for 1 year. And I believe it waives the penalty that you would if you would, in normal early withdrawal. And I know, Ed, you can probably provide some insight as a planner yourself, but I do think it's a good option for any of our employees who would qualify. There are some qualifiers that they would need to self-qualify with the plan directly. So I don't know, Ed, if you want to provide some more
Real
information.
quick, I'll touch base on this. I know Caitlin's probably familiar with this as well, with our clients that we have out there. Yeah, they can take up to 100,000, 100% or no more than 100,000, but they will also waive that tax amount that they would normally take from the account. But I don't want to get into too much detail. I would rather you that anyone in the program reach out to Lincoln. They have a contact on that. There is, as Ann mentioned, there's a form that you fill out to see if you qualify for these basically exemptions. They're temporary. You should, of course, they have a loan, you pay it back. There's no charge because it's your money. You're just paying back to yourself, So, and there's so much length of time that you have to pay it back before you have to pay taxes on it. So
just to clarify, Anne, one thing, did you say that we would have to opt in as the employer for these to qualify, or they just automatically are allowed to do it?
No, the plan provisions require the board, because you are the fiduciary responsible members of this plan, you would need to approve the opt-in for your participants.
Right. So that's the question I think we would really need to consider. Is this something we would want? Like, is there a need for it? Like, we haven't, because I mean, you and I certainly know that, like, the benefits to this, but also the cons to this. Is this something that in the long term is really beneficial? So we would need to talk about that. I guess I would want to find out first if there's a need, if any of the employees of the town have a desire this or think that they might benefit from this before we discuss it further. But if we would have to discuss whether or not we wanted to opt into that.
And so we have to agree that we let them opt in based on this act.
Based on the provisions of the plan, the Lincoln plan that you have with the town of Manlius, yes, you have to.
I mean, they use some examples here. if if you've been contacted with COVID, if your spouse or dependents has been contacted or lost your job, there's a lot of these are normal anyway, unable to work due to loss of a child. And so they have a criteria list that have to be met. Correct?
May I suggest that
Go ahead, Heather.
may I suggest that we notify any of the members about this opportunity, give them a timeline to review it and explore if they might be eligible, if they want to take advantage, and have them communicate that to us by a certain date. And then in parallel, we look and see what the potential impact could be if, 2 people do X, whatever, try to understand the impact a little bit. And just so we have a better sense, and then make a deadline for when we're going, and knowing whatever they say is the deadline for us to respond to opt in or opt out as well. And we
That
do
makes
that for
sense.
the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that makes, go ahead, Ann.
The deadline is April 17th to opt in as the employer. So the employer would be directing Lincoln to permit affected participants to elect the CRDs during the CARES Act period. So you either modify your existing plan distribution provisions or you do not. So,
Our next meeting is the 22nd. It means we would need to decide whether or not to give the employees who participate in this plan the option to use it for a loan. They're
Correct,
borrowing
because-
from themselves. It's not
Yes.
our money.
And what was the
Correct.
date
I
again?
would think
I would-
that it would be reasonable to permit that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to as well.
Yeah. What was the date on that, Ann?
April
April
17th,
17th.
you need
Oh,
to
17th.
provide this to Lincoln. And again, this is a voluntary plan. The town does not have any financial holdings in this. It's employee driven. So, and again, an employee would need to qualify under, the list set out under the CARES Act. So,
Yeah, the onus would be on them to prove that they meet any of these qualifications to opt in.
The criteria.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it really wouldn't be, I don't know if we should, if we had money on the table ourselves, that might be a different reason to second guess this, but this is all their funds. Obviously, the experts who have presented this, say that you really shouldn't try to do this.
Right. Is it
Except if-
predatory or not? Is it, I guess, the thing I worry about. It's not,
Say-
right?
It's not mandatory, is that what
Or
you're
no,
saying?
predatory. It's not sort of like, oh, this is an extra opportunity to make sure that we
Well,
can.
it can be a very bad thing to take a loan from your 401k or from your retirement plan. It's not we should encourage them to speak to their financial professional before considering this option. This would be like a really your last step. You've tapped all your other resources. This is all you have left.
Yeah.
Like, we should really impress upon them that this is not
Mhm.
that it's not just like a checking account where you go get your money. You it's money. The stock market is down. Like, they would be taking this distribution at a loss right now. They'd have to liquidate assets. Like, it's not a small thing. So I agree. We should allow it because we shouldn't make that decision on their behalf. But we should express upon them and that they need to really consider the negatives associated with the decision of actually following through on it. It's not like a free thing. There's a lot of negatives associated with it that certainly Ed and I would be happy to chat with anyone and just give them a little bit more information on it.
Sure.
But the people at Lincoln should also be well within the scope of their expertise to explain the downsides to this option.
Yeah, there definitely would be some negativity if they didn't follow the rules, especially, and they really need to know what they are. And that it has to be really, really a very desperate situation, I would think, but even then, if people want to pay it back, they should. The issue you have with borrowing on 401ks or anything like that is when you move, say you transferred it to another company later, that amount that you borrowed, that would be considered taxable now.
Mhm.
So now,
So let me
be
just
careful
say,
with this.
let's take care of our business is to, so I would like to make a motion to permit the town to participate in this program that's been authorized by the CARES Act. We do not endorse this program. We do not think it's a good idea for our employees, but we want to make it available to anyone who
I
doesn't.
wouldn't phrase it that way.
Yeah, I
It's,
have a hard time with that one.
yeah, we don't want to, I agree. I think we should say we don't necessarily endorse it as as an option either way. It can be like, if they literally have no money and they are able to access this as a financial resource, then it's a great option to be able to do. So we just want, I think we can say that we encourage them to seek financial advice regarding whether or not it's an appropriate decision for them to make at this time.
That's an excellent disclaimer. Very good.
And Mr. Supervisor, we haven't had any employees come forth with this, though, asking about it or seeking any information at this point. I don't believe.
Not that I'm aware of that. I don't think so. Plus, it's only been out for like a week or two now. Go ahead.
Your employees that participate in the deferred compensation plan are pretty savvy. They do go directly to the Lincoln representative when they have an issue. You know, they do not come to the town because we don't have a financial stake in this plan. So they do go to that individual for guidance because that is what that individual is there for. I don't think this is a matter of, you know, telling them they can or cannot. It's just allowing the plan, the town of Manlius deferred compensation plan. It's allowing the provisions of your plan to offer this.
Yeah.
You know, that is, it's not that you're recommending or not, you're not.
And could this be something that once we're out of this, you know, terrible dilemma we're in at some point down the road, could we remove this, or will it be removed by the federal government or IRS, whoever's putting this together?
Yes, I believe I would have to go through this again, but I believe there is an end to this.
Okay.
I will.
I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Sir, would you mind if I made the motion?
Please do.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve allowing our employees to access a hardship withdrawal from the retirement plan should they need to, and with the encouragement that they call Lincoln and access all the financial resources available to make sure they're making the appropriate decision at this time.
And I would second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. Thank you, Ann. Did you have anything else for us? No. She already muted. Thank you. All right. Why don't we go around the room like we're at our board meeting there. So Heather, I think you're up first, right? You would be going clockwise, and we'll go back.
Sure. All of our screens, I think, might be in different orders, but I'm happy to go. So I have a number of things I can report, but let me just stick to one thing tonight, and the rest can certainly wait. We had a meeting on Monday virtually to look at the Muirfield Drive drainage study that Miller Engineering prepared for us, and both Doug and Rob Cushing attended, along with a number of counselors and also you, Supervisor, of course. And it was really, really informative to see what sort of maintenance and what kind of infrastructure updating we could endeavor to do, either in quick succession or in a phased approach, to really make sure that we're serving the homes, particularly in that area right there, the best. And over the course of the conversation, we realized that it's so important for us to be clear and communicate the differences between this study and the Woodland Hills, the proposed Woodland Hills development project, and also any other concerns that residents who live above this area on Shiraz or Dahlia might have about their own water. Because the water there flows actually over to Salt Springs and does not go into the Muirfield Basin that exists. And the Woodland Hills project must still go through the steps of you know, very clearly showing how they're mitigating any impact on drainage, really, any negative impact on drainage for the whole, for that area, that same area. And so it's separate. So we're looking at issues that we need to solve already, and being able to communicate all those things effectively. So how would we go about doing that? Well, we have some actual questions to follow up, including cost estimates for the work. And well, thank you to Doug for getting those to us. We could prepare a webinar. We can discuss, and I'd like to ask everybody how you might like to inform the public about the drainage study and our options here, and make sure that we conflate those two neighborhoods and that planning project into one big conversation without understanding that we're talking about the drainage study. I also wanted to look at how we've divided up drainage district 2 and really make sure that we don't need to propose any changes to the makeup of the district as it stands. And that might be, I think those are the only things that that's the broad brush that I wanted to report and ask about.
There we go. You were going
Did
to
Rob have something?
Rob, did you have something? I didn't.
No.
Nope. Okay. No, I said you were going to also put a summary together on that.
So I will. Yep, I'd be happy to summarize it with a little bit more detail,
Yes,
just what I said, and put it into a memo. But would we be open to doing sort of a presentation, a board presentation at one of the next, maybe at the next meeting, or maybe the meeting after? And I don't know what we call these things where we sort of do an informational. It's not a public hearing, but rather an informational session. I don't know what to call it.
Well, I think that would. I think that's exactly what it is, really. You know, I mean,
It would be a board presentation.
Yeah,
A board presentation. Yeah.
And that Doug put together on the you know, so you could certainly take the lead on that, like and as he did the other morning, and then we can have a conversation about it once you get all the summary out to us, and we can actually between us we can sort of make sure we're sort of all on the same page, so to speak, that we know what direction we may be going with this, because there's a lot of questions, I think. But I agree.
Sure, Heather, I think you hit on some really good notes, right? I think there's a lot of interest in that in both neighborhoods, right? And I think what we've done in the past is we've done either board presentations or separate presentations that kind of give an overview, so that we get some back and forth with the public.
Yeah.
Right. So we make sure, like we spoke on Monday, so we make sure that we get all their concerns in there. As we move forward with anything that we want to do in the general community of all the neighborhoods there, because people have been concerned. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of visual with some of the maps and the drains that is somewhat important too. So we need to share that, I think, before the meeting with. I don't know if everyone's seen the report yet, right?
No, I haven't seen it, Ed. No.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we need to. I think Heather, once you do the summary on that, then that will certainly help, and we get that to everybody who hadn't heard the whole thing yet. I don't think, Sarah, you were in that, but you might have got some information on it. I'm not sure.
I don't have a copy of the report either. So let's plan on scheduling this, Heather. If you want to look at scheduling, would that be the 13th or some other time? And then we can notify the neighbors that this is in the works, and they can go to the website and get the report and come with their questions, however we want to do that.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And basically the basis for our meeting on Monday was that we have not finalized the report. We're very close to finalizing the report, but we wanted to get input of the board to start with. And I think we got some very good discussion going. But I think the next step is tell the public that it's not a final report, but we're looking for their input and their concerns, so we hit this solid and make sure that we address everything that everybody that entire community feels that we should be looking at, right?
And we have to
I
be
think that's what we came
careful.
up with.
It's not a public hearing, but, so we're gonna have to talk about how that's gonna be presented with some of the public input too, so that can be further discussion.
Sure. I mean, we can have a board presentation with Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, all right, good. Anything else, Heather?
Nothing else. Thank you very much.
Okay, John, I think you're next.
Nothing to report other than continuing to deal with the technology issues that pop up during this time. But no, I think we had some good conversations over the last couple of days about how we were moving to this eventually, and well, we decided to just do it within a couple hours. And I want to thank Ann and Allison and Kay, as always, for helping with making all this happen. So that's all I've got.
Well, thank you for taking the lead on that, John. Once again, you've come through on the technology for us here.
I never thought I would be as useful as I am in my first term, but here we are.
Well, thank you very much. All right, Elaine, there you are down here now. Okay, go ahead. Do you have anything?
So I attended the critical response committee meeting last night on Zoom. And it was really great to hear an in-depth report by the chief and to hear from the community members on how they're handling this pandemic. In that committee, I've only been to 2 meetings, but I'm really happy that it exists. And I think it's a really great asset that we have here. And then I'm also working with Allison on some website changes, or not changes, but just looking at how we're presenting information on there. And I'll be sending more information to everyone about what we would maybe like to change and to get more people's input to see what you guys think. And I'm also looking we have the public comment form that we created for Open Podium, but now we can't meet in person. So I'm looking to see if we can get that on the website so people can fill it out and still get us public comments that way. That's it.
All right, very good. Thank you. And let's see, crossroad. Caitlin, you're up next. Everybody moves around here. Oh, there you go.
I really miss being with all of you guys and actually in our boardroom. You never know it's the last time until it's the last time. So hopefully Karen's right and we're all back in May. I'd love if all of this wrapped up. So I've been working on a few things, but I'll try to keep it brief. Also, focus on 2 things. One, the business community in Manlius. I was added to the chamber of the Greater Manlius Chamber of Commerce. I was added to their board last week as a board member. And so I think being on the Economic Development Committee with Karen, that'll be a good continuity for me to have that role. And I had a call with Allison and with the president of the chamber. His name is Bill. He's a very nice guy. We've met in person once. And so in the preliminary stages still of working on a way to support the business community during this time. The chamber is putting out a ton of information in a newsletter. So if you're not getting that and reading through it, I would encourage you to sign up. You can sign up on the website, and it's listing all of the restaurants that are open. I did see just this morning that Ironwood in the village of Manlius is closing down this morning temporarily because they just weren't able to transition to a to-go delivery model as they were trying to do. So I'm going to be looking and seeing what can we do as a town to support our businesses and to try to keep as many open and running as we can during this time. So any creative thoughts on that or ideas, please send my way. It's been difficult getting those types of things organized from home without me able to meet with people in person. So any creative information on that, I would appreciate any ideas. One thing that we did kind of toss around that I'll hopefully be working on more tomorrow is just like a pretty graphic listing the restaurants and businesses that are open and breaking them out, like where can you go shopping for gifts for Easter baskets or what other holidays that are coming up that we're quickly approaching that. Where can you go to get your bike repaired or types of ancillary businesses like that. And Elaine said that she'd be happy to make that graphic and then we could share that on social media and on our website. So any other ideas, please let me know. The other thing, we are still working on sustainability. I'm going to try to schedule a meeting of the committee for later in April or early May. And hopefully we'll be able to get some of our initiatives up and running again. One thing we did hear back about was Randy's not on here this evening, but the new energy code, it's called the stretch code. They were supposed to come present, we scheduled this in February, early February. They were supposed to come and present at our April 22nd board meeting. That's now been moved to a presentation to the board on the 21st. So if you're interested in learning about stretch code and the new energy code in the town, let me know, and I'd be happy to invite you to that meeting. It's going to be to all the boards across the region. So it's going to be one big call rather than them going to presenting to every individual board. So it'll save on carbon emissions because they won't be driving all over the region.
So is that April 21st?
April 21st. Yes.
Yeah, please invite me.
I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah, Caitlin, I did get that email and I did plan on making that too. So,
Okay.
Caitlin,
Yes.
I saw that Okra is not going to be doing the traditional Earth Day sort of like trash pickup initiative, but I thought maybe what we could do as a town and in the spirit of sustainability is do things in our own neighborhoods and take some pictures and do a post encouraging others to, during a certain period of time, and of course recognizing social distancing standards, that we could do a push to sort of pick up our trash.
Yeah, no, I mean, the last of the snow melted in my yard and I've got some trash I have to go pick up. That's a great idea, Heather. Thank you so much for suggesting that. Maybe I'll Google and I'll think about it a little bit more too. Like some creative ideas for Earth Day. What can we do in the town to celebrate Earth Day that doesn't involve us having to go to stores? Because we shouldn't even be going to buy plants, right? Like it's not the biggest priority right now. So what can we do? It is interesting though, like some of the things we're seeing, like you can see the Himalayas for the first time in decades because the volume of traffic is so far reduced. So we're seeing all around the world the impact that humans have had on the environment. It's remarkable to see what just not driving around for 2 weeks can do. It's really crazy. So it's a lot to take in. I've been, this is a big focus of my professional life in all the different spheres, and it's really just all been put on the back burner. So it's interesting to see like the positives that have come out of it in that way. But I'll think more about that, Heather. Thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah, and that includes Arbor Day too. We were supposed to have an event for that, which will be pushed.
When is Arbor Day?
I'm trying to remember what the date is.
I should know this as the tree commission rep.
Yeah.
I think it's a particular day in April, but you know what?
Yeah, it's in a couple of weeks, I think, but.
Yeah. What we can do is we can do some posts. We can certainly do some educational posts about the trees. We can do some posts, I think. So some social media would be really great. Because right now we've had to have urgent social media around logistical things. And I think that the Tick Alliance, maybe we could invite Ann Messenger to come to talk about the Central New York Tick Alliance.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that with Karen's program that, yeah.
Exactly, because
That'd be great,
she's also talking about there's landscaping and things you can do in your own yard, or ways that you can mow, and things you can consider the way you have them just arranged. Here's the wood pile, here's this, whatever it is that can impact your safety, your health and safety. So I think it's almost, it's like if we think about our own little worlds, about our yards, and sort of how we can live, think globally or think townwide and act locally, act in our own yard. That could be a theme that we
just on the fly thinking about this, Heather, like environmental sustainability and then community sustainability, because so like, how do we tie this into the town? Because that's what I'm always trying to take that and bring it home. Like, as the town official, like, how do we really bring it back? And so I think what we're seeing now is like there was like a run, like Allison and I talked about this too, that there was a run on the supermarket, right? There was like a lot of food suddenly not available. And so we could talk about starting your own vegetable garden, maybe. So like, what could you be doing now to prep your yard for a vegetable garden? Like, where can you get seeds locally? So maybe support a local store. How do you buy plants? Like, what can you do? And then that'll help to keep our families sustainable and healthy environment. Yeah, I think there's a couple different things we could do. Great project.
Information.
Okay.
Earth Day is the 22nd, Arbor Day is the 24th, and that weekend after is usually when people do those yard work projects. So if you guys want to think about something, we could actually have something prepared to talk about next meeting and kind of kick off a Manlius event for that weekend.
Yeah, that's our meeting is Earth Day.
Oh, yeah, Earth Day is 22nd. She said, I had it right here. Okay, very good. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Several years ago when I ran the Solarize Central New York campaign, I dressed up as a giant sun and they called me Solar Kate. I could wear my sun hat.
I think you might need to for that meeting.
For Earth Day.
For the board meeting, you should.
For the board meeting.
Yes, right.
For the whole board meeting.
The whole board meeting.
The whole time.
A giant sun.
All right.
That should do it for me, Ed.
Okay, very good, Caitlin. Excellent. Sarah, you're next.
Okay. So this is not nearly as much fun, but one of the issues with the okra is that our normal hauler is not able to pick up brush at the moment. And because people are home, they have been raking and clearing like crazy. So I have talked with Ed and Rob about a possible interim plan. We have nothing committed at this moment, but just I wanted to have everybody know that we are working on an interim plan that might resolve, depending on how long it is before okra reopens, that there are other alternatives that we could pursue.
Sarah, are people expecting it to be picked up this week? Because I see stuff all out in the neighborhood all around.
There's a big banner on the website saying it's not going to be picked up.
Right. The people who haven't picked up that yet, maybe thinking that this week.
And so we've been getting calls at the town of people saying, why didn't you pick up my brush? So people we've tried to make it visible. I know we've gotten the word out as well as we could, but there's still people that don't know that.
Why don't we send a notice to Eagle Bulletin if we haven't already? And the other thing is, if we could tell the villages to help make sure we're all on the same page, because on a local on the local Fayetteville Manlius neighbors or whatever connections page I was just on earlier, someone said, I took a picture of it. Someone said, oh, this is not for the village. The village is still picking up. So people are, again, not remembering. They don't know that some people are like, I don't know if I'm in the village or not. You know, the people that know, and people who don't. So anything we could do to make sure that the villages are communicating whatever we're saying, and likewise that we know what the villages are doing.
I reached out to the county executive's office. They were actually sent out a survey to all the municipalities, including the villages. And in most cases, pretty much 95% of them that we've gotten back, all the villages are doing their own because they have their own location where they can dump this stuff. And they pick it up themselves too. They don't have vendors. And the same with some of the towns. Some of the towns do it themselves. Some have vendors like we do. And I'm still trying to get a handle on who's using Okra that can't right now, and what are they doing as an alternative. So I have reached out to Ryan McMahon's office as well as all the other municipalities, and still waiting to hear back. There's a lot of issues with, as Sarah said, that we looked into as far as where Syracuse haulers could actually possibly dump that over at the highway. But then again, that has to be a DEC approved location when you start to have a certain amount of quantity of brush. And applying for a permit, by the time if we ever did do that, by the time that happens, hopefully it'll be May 1st and Okra will be back in business. So there's a lot of things we're looking into. We've done a lot, haven't we, Rob, as far as some alternatives. And I know Kay's been getting phone calls. I know you and have been getting a lot of calls. And it boils down to Okra had to have, they had the 50% rule of essential and non-essential employees, and they felt that the trash was more essential than the brush. They can't disagree with them there. You know, brush is not an emergency service. Trash could become an emergency service, you know. So that's where we are now, but I'm still trying to get some clarification from.
Would we be able to work with the village, do a shared service sort of arrangement with villages?
Well,
and deliver our trash and brush?
You have three villages or 3 locations, and they actually, I know Manoa closed theirs down to residents dumping stuff. They're picking up the residents themselves. They aren't just letting people dump it there now, you know. So
a couple of the, just so you
go ahead,
know,
Rob.
a couple of the villages actually use a couple of vendors. When they dump their material, they don't stockpile it. Fayetteville's one of the only ones that does. I'm not Village of Manly stuff. Use local facilities where they drop the stuff at a charge. There's a rate for their and they've got contracts with those people that drop so much brush, they're offered so much a truckload.
Okay. We're still working on it, Heather. You know, I mean, it's just, as Sarah, it's been, you know, gnawing at all of us, but we're doing the best we can on that. So, did you have anything else, Sarah?
Just to follow up on Caitlin's comment, I did put a little thing in the Greater Manlius Chamber newsletter, just asking people if they were getting the kind of information they wanted from us so that we could improve our communication strategy going forward. So this brush may be an example of something where people are still confused, and hopefully we get that feedback.
Okay. And Heather, you're right. A lot of people don't know where the village ends and the town begins, and vice versa. You know, it's pretty interesting. I would think they would know when they get their village taxes or
Put a really tacky sign in my window that says, "Hold up, no trash and brush pickup yet." My own
still
neighbor.
doing trash. It's still doing trash. Don't forget.
Oh, sorry. No brush pickup yet.
Right. Ooh. All right, Karen, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yes, I do. Just a couple of quick things. Ed, I have been in touch with the Fayetteville Manlius Chamber and in touch with a lot of our businesses and expressing our concerns. They're all working very well together. They're getting a tremendous amount of support from the SBA. They have been hosting webinars for quite some time, but we can't forget about them. You know, if we can certainly utilize their takeout services or what other services, it's greatly appreciated. And but we're glad they're in our town, and we want to do everything we can to keep them there. And last night I too attended the CRC meeting, although I could hear everyone, but no one could hear me.
Right.
So I want to make sure the chief knows, and Captain Schaefer, what a tremendous job they are all doing. And I so appreciate the years of effort and training that particularly Captain Schaefer has put in to the CRC committee, where all these organizations come from all over the area, not just the town but emergency management, town of DeWitt. It's just tremendous to hear that our schools are still serving 1,000 meals a day. The learning is still going on. Certainly what our own police department, the highway department is doing. And it's just great to see how everyone comes together, identifies the hierarchy that takes place. And I don't appreciate, I can't appreciate them more, really. I mean, just outstanding. And I know a lot of people have mentioned it's nice to see the police cars in the neighborhoods. It's, you know, comforting to the kids and the families to know they're around. And, you know, every day I listen to County Executive McMahon. And today was the latest count. We have 29 residents in the town of Manlius with this dreadful disease. And we think of them daily, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them for their very quick recovery. And, you know, we'll do anything we can to help them. And I know the hospitals are working very hard, the staff, and I miss all of you. And I look forward to seeing you in person in May. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, very good, Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Just a few quick items. First of all, I believe we are making history tonight with our first Zoom board meeting ever, and probably not our last. So
I just missed the McGrews. We have to find a way to make sure that the McGrews sign.
right.
They are Joe, every second or third Wednesday, they are lost.
Yes.
without us.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Real quick, I had a executive committee meeting. We Zoomed again this week, and that was with the Association of Towns regarding the budget. A few items came up. I think, Rob, you're familiar with this because you had an executive meeting with your highway superintendents for the state. I think that CHIPS looks like it still is going to be flat going into this year, and AIM is questionable, but again, a lot of it has to do with the sales tax there. So that could be, we won't know because that's not till December anyway. The first quarter was opposite of last year. The last quarter of 2018 was terrible, and the first quarter of 2019 was great. And so the New York State retirement was not as bad as we thought it was going to be. This year it's opposite. This year, going into the, as you know, the first quarter wasn't that good. So there's some concerns about how that's going to negatively affect our budget as far as the New York State retirement, but we're going to have to come up with in funds. We're hoping that they might give us some relief on the tax cap. And they said reach out to your legislators. Well, right now, Assemblyman Sturpey is going to be really busy because he's the only one that represents us right now in Albany, because we don't have a senator right now, you know. So get on your horns and start calling them, tell them we gotta you know, get the governor to hang in there and not keep cutting stuff on us. They started out with a $30 billion deficit as it was to start with, or 16, I forget, the numbers are just so large. Lastly, I just wanted to piggyback off from what Karen said regarding Ryan today. He gave his COVID-19 update, and as Karen mentioned, we're up to 29 confirmed cases along with DeWitt. That makes us third in the county, tied for third, I guess you could say. I mean, granted, we are, you know, the third largest, highest in population behind Clay and Salina and DeWitt, and us and Cicero are all pretty close together. I guess I just have to stress the importance of the social distancing to all of our residents, that Ryan continues to push and to stay home as much as reasonably possible. We need to flatten this curve. And as Ryan said, we need to hunker down and buy in for the next 2 weeks. We really, really need to get this under control so we can get out of this problem that we're in right now. So a little rah-rah lecture there, but I just wanted to carry on with what Ryan said today. So with that, that's all I have for tonight. And if anyone has anything else, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, very good, everyone. Thanks again. Nice job tonight, and we got through it. So
Thanks,
got what we
everybody.
do.
Technical support.
Thank you.
Yes.
Everybody stay well and all the best to your families.
Hey, John, real quick, I see
too.
99
Thank you.
chats down here. What's that mean?
Oh,
No.
So don't look at the chat.
I didn't read them.
Basically, yeah, I wouldn't. Basically, it's an issue that we will be looking into.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Very
All
well
right.
put, John.
Okay,
All right.
let's all sign off.
Good job, John.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.